This is Where is the Music podcast, and I'm your host. My name is Alberto Ferro. I'm a pianist and a composer, and we are about to venture into some deep and interesting musical topic. So prepare your ears and get ready to answer the question, where is the music? Hello everyone and welcome back to Where is the Music podcast. In this episode I would like to open the doors to a typical, let's say, day in a composer's creative process. If you follow the podcast, you know how interested I am in the details of what the creative process is and what it entails. How does it work in music, and how different composers in different styles and throughout history they have approached it. In previous episodes I have expanded and maybe discussed a bit the role of, for example, a theme or a subject in music. How does a composer makes integrated complex piece of music starting from an initial idea, and that was about how to turn a theme into actual music. Today I thought we could do the inverse process. What if we start from a theme, a little sequence of notes, and see in how many ways one can possibly start to develop music around it. This will be let's say a series of examples that I have previously organized, previously listed, and but this can go on for hours and hours. The idea is for those of you who are listening, who are interested in not just understanding how musical creative process works, but also in applying to your musical activities. Perhaps you sit at the piano or at whichever instrument you play and play around with ideas. This might be a good let's say line of thinking for you. With this in mind, it is possible that all the strategies that I am going to show today might have to do with a little bit of rational and technical approach, but this is just the surface. As a matter of fact, only after a few years of let's say spending time and familiarizing myself with compositional techniques, I started let's say looking at this process in a more, let's say, intuitive and just creative way, while in the beginning it was very much a matter of applying rules and let's say correcting mistakes, etc. With that in mind, we are also going to discuss examples that and strategies that have to do with styles of music that have happened in the past, which I might be let's say familiar, or I might have developed some expertise, and so I might be able to show some of this with keeping in mind that none is better than another one. That they're all in terms of artistic and aesthetic value, they're all similar, or at least each one of you will prefer one over the other. The theme that I have selected, I didn't invent it. It's actually just a string of 6 different notes, and I've taken it from a piece of repertoire. And the reason why I did that is because after we look into all or some of the possible strategies for developing it, we're gonna listen to how the composer has developed it himself. I'm not gonna mention it so far because I don't want to give away possible, don't want to give away anything. So the set of notes that I will work on is this. It's pretty non-musical. It seems like just a straight set of dry notes. There are some repeated notes, but also it sounds pretty, let's say, classical, tonal. There are no big tensions between within the set, and so I might be able to figure out that there is a key. There is a key, it seems to be a major key, and these details might come useful later on, because relating to a key or a scale might help me developing some idea. So let's start from the beginning. We said it is a set of notes, so it's like a set of numbers. So the first thing that in front of a set we do is to compare one with another, and start realizing that perhaps there are relationship between one and another that can become musical properties. For example, the first two, it is a musical interval. It's a musical interval of third, and I can use that for some musical development. Between the second and the third, it is another interval of third. So without necessarily using all the 6 notes, just by using the first 3 and by reiterating the relationship between the first 2 and the second 2 note, the second and third note, there are some musical properties that can already be taken advantage of. In this particular case, I can use this as an accompaniment. Okay, it's not great music yet, but you see where this is going. Now I'm gonna take the last 3 notes. You remember, these are the last 3 notes, and I'm gonna do something similar. Now I'm gonna put it together, and this is gonna be the result. the set of notes that I play in the beginning had melodic properties. We could have sung them, but in this first development idea, in this first musical idea, we did not hear them. We did not hear this set of notes sung melodically. The melodic properties of this sixth note did not interest at this first stage, but just the intervallic relationship between single individual notes that turn out to be turn out to have some potential for musical development. Now what I'm going to do is to use these notes with melodic properties. So I'm going to take some to change the duration of each note. So some are going to be shorter, some are going to be longer. And now you hear how there is an inner rhythm that is established. This is a ternary rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's pretty classical, but nevertheless it is giving me some melodic trajectory and some sense of motion forward. Okay, sounds very classical, but nevertheless, what happened if I take all the properties, melodic properties and rhythmical properties that this little chunk of music has is showing, and I maintain them, but I modify the actual notes. So for example, if instead of repeating the same exact notes, I maintain those interval, the contour of the melody and the duration of each note, but change the actual pitch. You can hear the contour stays the same. There is a similar there is a symmetry between the first instance and the other ones. And now we can start already embellishing it. Interestingly, this melody seems to be going only upward. What if we want to going downward? We can probably invert it. So instead of this, we should go. Okay, and now the result, the whole melody inverted, will be. I play it again. Actually, to be precise, should be this. Okay, just a little variation. And now magically, the whole trajectory is downward. So can probably mix up. Let's go upwards and then downwards. Etc. You see where this is going. Now, after you repeat it for a while, it starts becoming a bit dull, but it is nevertheless an exercise of melodic creativity, as you noticed. If we embellish this and start a little bit to free up our melodic instinct, perhaps something more interesting will come up. Etc. You see, this started becoming fun, really fun. Okay, now I'm gonna do some more variation. The contour of the melody will stay the same. I'm gonna modify once again the duration, the value of the notes, but also I'm gonna modify slightly the intervals between them, so that the contour will stay the same, but the key will change. So now, instead of this, it will sound like. Okay, let's see. You see how it has changed completely the flavor. The initial melodic contour has stayed pretty much intact. Notice in the previous two examples, in the last two examples, how the time signature dimension is quite important. In this last example, the time signature is binary, so we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, etc. So it's a binary time signature, while in the previous one we had a ternary. So perhaps the strategy, as so far as I am applying it into practice, can be identified as such. I am extracting the melodic properties of a set of notes and adjusting them to a particular musical context. By musical context, we we probably mean a harmony, a rhythm, a tempo, an accompaniment, a texture, a tone, a dynamics, and a set of dynamics, and so forth, an articulation, etc. That's too much to think about, but if we just extract the melodic properties of a set of notes, like the ones that we started with today, and we apply it to time signature, we kind of are forced to make to transform the melody, the initial melody, into something else. So this is the last example on this topic. So I'm gonna do it in 3. And I'm gonna do it in 2. And now I'm gonna do it in 3, back it to 3, but I'm gonna play it much slower and see. And I'm gonna do it in 4. See how how by changing the context, the musical situation, the theme somehow just transformed by itself. It takes a little bit of familiarity and a bit of experimenting on a musical theme, but this is probably the right time to just open a small parenthesis to say that the musical material that a composer starts from is not very different from the raw material of a visual artist, for example, a sculptor. There is a rock. It's just a rock. It is up to your experimental and vision and your playfulness to see something in the rock that you can do with the raw material that you have. And probably similarly you can say with regard to a painter might have a shape in mind, a raw shape, or a color, or a line, a curve, or maybe just an object. Once for some reason that object is selected in the same manner we have selected a set of notes that is quite meaningless at the very beginning, but then the work of development and transformation is what gives that object, that theme, a particular flavor, and then hopefully some meaning. And close parenthesis, perhaps I will come back to it later. So I'm gonna give you a few more examples of strategies, development strategies. I'm gonna take the first 3 notes of my theme, and I'm gonna think of my favorite nocturnes by Chopin and see what I can do with it. please don't compare this to any actual Chopin nocturne. The strategy here is pretty simple. I am opening each individual note and allowing to resonate through a rich left-hand arpeggio in a similar manner that somehow imitates the some of the Chopin nocturnes, and the melodic qualities of the initial set of notes have kind of been put on side. We can hardly hear the same melody, or if we do, it's very, let's say, subtle, very thin and weak relationship. But nevertheless, we are more drawn to the music because of the fullness of the harmony and the left-hand arpeggio. So, by the way, what chord am I choosing for the arpeggio? I'm choosing chords that relate closely to each of the notes of the set of the theme. Particularly, we have a minor chord, then a major chord, then another major chord, so one of the ways in which composers develop musical material is to identify a chord on for each of the notes that appear in a theme, and this is what I've been doing. Similarly, I can change completely the style of the music and nevertheless maintain this relationship: one note, one chord. And I'm gonna continue with different variants. This might not sound particularly, say, musical. This might sound at some point an exercise of a technical exercise, but nevertheless, it is within this realm of experimentation or playfulness that sometimes a particular solution hits us, and we find, oh, that's beautiful, that's interesting. What was it? In this particular context, I'm gonna take a little technical, let's say, tangent here. And for those of you who play, I suspect most of you listeners, in a way or another, play. And I know some of my students listen to this podcast, so we probably have encountered this in class before. I think we've never touched on this on the podcast, but every note, such as this one is a D note. Every note belongs to 3 different major chords. In particular, the note of D belongs to the chord of D, to the chord of G, and to the chord of B flat. Okay, what to do with this information? Well, I have 3 notes. I have D, F sharp, and A. I'm gonna harmonize each of these three notes with the three major chords in which these notes can be harmonized with. Total of 9 chords, and a bit I'm gonna do it without necessarily trying to make music. I'm gonna just see how this sounds, and then perhaps trying to turn it into a more musical idea. Interesting. I should remind you that the main notes which I am referring this exercise are the first three notes of our set. So I'm gonna do it again, an octave higher, and see whether some music can come out of it. Not bad, not bad. I'm gonna do something like this. Sounds like a Straussian opening. This technique, by the way, was, I think, first clearly used by Liszt and Wagner, and later on taken up by many other composers. I think a lot of music for film composers have taken this, let's say, major chords approach and done a lot with it. Nevertheless, this sounded better. Nevertheless, it sounded a little bit dull. I'm gonna start embellishing this melodic, quite dull line. Yes, that starts becoming a bit of magic. How come this music just emerged out of this? Right? Well, it did. I'm going to I'm gonna show you one last example before we uncover the composer where this is taken from. This next example will just use the first 3 notes only of our theme, and there is nothing really original, but this is to say that the themes or the raw material that we use doesn't necessarily have to be taken as a whole. We can just take a snippet, in particular the first 3, so the first half of it. In this case, it's going to be a long note and 2 shorts. I'm gonna imitate it, and again, and as a result, this can go on much longer, as you can see, but nevertheless we can then take a group of 2 and use that as a repetition. So the result is and we can continue. You can tell, I mean, it's not easy to find exact notes that will make this game work, but once you find them, it's pretty it's pretty fascinating. Or let's do the inversion. Right? I'm taking this example because in the piece of music that we're going to listen to, we're going to find a lot of these games. Particularly, I point out at this canon that goes like this. By the way, notice how our mystery composer has modified a little bit the set of notes to make it sound minor. Should be, and he made it. In this particular passage, he has also modified the 4th and the 5th and the 6th note. Instead of going, he goes. There is a little variation in there, but you can still recognize the origin. The source of it is the same. And what happens here is he writes a canon and imitation. Right? So you can hear the same melody in the bottom part as in the top. But the technique of canon, meaning they start in 2 different moments, make it very much a playful mechanics. Particularly interesting is that at some point there is this striking dissonance, right? Which is not a mistake. Is and then this, since the mechanism has started, the same dissonance will be replicated 2 bars later. Which which also in a similar manner repeats later on. Another example from the same piece will be again imitation and canon. Okay, so the bass is doing that and the tenor is doing. You can tell how both parts relate in the same exact manner. They have the same origin, and that makes it thematically very consistent. Now it is time to reveal this theme comes from a string quartet by Mozart. This is the K575, if I'm correct. Yes, and I think written in 1789. Yes, 1789. When Mozart was very mature despite his young age. Before we listen to it, and I hope that you will enjoy hearing how a genius like him is able to take these little 6 notes apart and make it explode with creative solutions. I want to point out how the very first thing that he does is respond to the theme with a series of melodic invention. After all, the 6 notes is quite a short theme, so he enlarges it before developing it. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars melody. A lot of the developmental ideas are based on the very first 2 bars, the 6 notes that we have dealt with throughout this episode. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoy the amount of ideas through which he filters this simple 6-note theme. Okay, so now we're gonna listen to the Hagen Quartet in a recording from 2006 in the Mozart String Quartet number 21 in D major, the so-called Prussian, in one of the Prussian quartets. This is the 4th movement, Allegretto. Marvelous, right? There is so much happening. Particularly, I think if you have not listened, if you have not heard this before, it might be, in a sense, very pleasant to hear all of this, let's say, magic fireworks constantly happening. All of this. Phrases and all variations and embellishments all throughout, and the harmony and the rhythm. There is too much to pay attention to, and in a sense, I was thinking it is hard to maintain clarity on what is the original source, the initial theme. In fact, I think at the level of let's say great art, there shouldn't really be too much attention put into identifying the melodies, identify the original thematic sources. After all, what would be the point of spotting the raw materials when you have the opportunity to lose yourself in the beautiful aesthetics of a great work of art? Nevertheless, as musicians, as composers, we kind of have to be able to differentiate our, let's say, interaction with the work of art as listeners in search for an aesthetic experience, and as a technician in search for craft and let's say technical tools to learn, appreciate, and perhaps imitate. Particularly difficult, I think, it is. This is particularly difficult to do when the works of art are distant from our epoch, our age. This is more than 200 years ago. So the style and the language pose a further obstacle to our understanding, despite the fact that the sound of it will be, it is pleasant, and the string quartet that we have heard the recording, the Hagen quartet does a fantastic job into, let's say, make it very, let's say, adjusted to our modern ear, which is a job of good interpreters. Nevertheless, there is a big language wall between us and music that was written more than 200 years ago, and so we need to educate our ears to be able to filter this language through, and perhaps the closer we get, the better appreciation and understanding of its aesthetics. So, and the closer we get to understand this language, the deeper will be our appreciation. Thank you very much for staying with me in today's episode. I hope I've given you some, let's say, inspiration for your own creative musical ideas. I should remind you that if you're interested in some, let's say, piano musical course, I have two online. One is on the music of Chopin, and another one is on the fundamentals of harmony, which is a practical counterpoint. They are available on Udemy, and the link is in the description of this episode. So if you are interested in me discussing any particular musical topic that you are interested in, please let me know. You can do so on your favorite platform, Spotify or YouTube, or you can do it through Patreon and also become a member. That will help me supporting this channel, and will help me do what I'm doing. So Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you the next time. Thanks for listening to Where is the Music podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, look up for others. I made a few. I publish an episode every week roughly, investigating each time a different aspect of music. The music making, the music listening, the meaning of music, and its relevance in our lives. It is very helpful for me if you like, subscribe, follow on your favorite platform. Where is the Music is on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. If you like to support me, you're free to do so through Patreon. Link in description. Thank you again. Until next time.